Joining us now on the panel, Liberal Senator for Tasmania, Richard Colbeck. Thank you for your time. Interesting election, isn't it? A big part's going to be a vote on the stadium and the cost of it. Do you think the government's on a winning ticket if this is a big part of the debate in the election?
The conversation in Tassie around the stadium has sort of simmered a bit over the last 6 months or so. It's calmed down. It's going to be a conversation about whether we have an AFL team or not. State and federal Liberal, all firms supporting the stadium. Federal Labor funding the stadium. State Labor don't support the stadium but say they support the team. But there's no AFL team without the stadium, so that'll become the discussion there. And Tasmanians overwhelmingly want an AFL team.
But a lot of polling on it when it comes with the price tag of the stadium, and there's complications like will it affect the GST deal. There is a lot of reluctance about this, isn't there? It turned a bit after the initial announcement.
The conversation now is starting to move to MAC point 1 or MAC point 2, so the private proposal that's on the table or the state managed project that's on the table. There's still a conversation around the GST exemption, and that was raised even in estimates this afternoon, and that will be down to the Treasurer to make a decision on. The Tasmanian Treasurer wrote to Jim Chalmers just yesterday to confirm that. That's a decision for the federal government to make. Will probably be a conversation during the campaign.
When I hear about a stadium election, I just sort of have warning bells in a political sense. Because people say things like, well, there's homeless on the street, there's not enough housing, we're not getting enough from the government, you're building a sporting stadium. Isn't that an inherent risk here for the Premier?
Well, look, I think what Jeremy's tried to demonstrate and has demonstrated is that you can walk and chew gum. Tasmania needs to be a mature enough state that it can do things like have the facilities that will support an AFL team and other things that will come to Tassie. And if you look at his record, though, 3,000 houses built in the last few years and a projection for 10,000 out to over the next 10. So, you know, he's put a lot of investment into that. He's spending the value of the stadium on health every 50-odd days. So, look, the investment into health has happened. Over 2,500 nurses employed since they came to government. Thousands of houses built, 53,000 new jobs in the state, a growing population. And can I tell you, we still remember what it was like with the Labor Green government. We're seeing some smoke signals of Labor Green deals here in Canberra right now, like we saw last week. Employer goes to jail for ringing someone after hours. The government now has to go and fix that. I think Tasmanians still remember those sorts of things, and Jeremy is somebody who's very highly regarded in Tasmania as a leader. We saw that with the piece of work that was done in the Hobart Mercury earlier in the year, where out of 2,000 votes, he picked up a quarter of them, over 500, the opposition leader, 43.
We've seen Liberal governments, though, falling like dominoes across the country, the last being in Tasmania. How do the Liberals combat essentially its time factor in your state?
Look, I think politics is a little bit different. The question for Tasmanians will be who can actually govern in majority. Labor can't do that while they've got a primary vote that's got a 2 in front of it. Ours has clearly dropped off over the next election. So one of the very interesting things about this election is going to be the increased parliament, the lower quota under the Hare-Clark system, and political boffins will have so much fun with that over the next 5 weeks. So we're going from 5 members per electorate to 7. So that also creates opportunities for new people to come into the parliament, and that's a conversation I've been having with a lot of prospective candidates.
Opportunities for a bit of instability as well. So Jeremy Rockliff is saying, I'm going to the polls to get stability and certainty for the state, and yet you look at the polling, there's going to be a big crossbench, look likely another hung parliament, and will that stability come?
It may be. And that's the thing that the Tasmanian people are going to have to confront over the next 5 weeks as we go to the 23rd of March. What are you looking for? There's no doubt in my mind that Tasmanians want a stable political environment. If you look at the polls over the last 5 months since Jeremy's had the minority government, his numbers have actually gone up and Labor's have gone down. So there's a recognition of the way that he's handled the difficult situation that he's in. Tasmanians, I think, want to go back to a stable position. That's clearly Jeremy's pitch, as it should be.
The big question is, though, and I'm going to put this to you on the spot, what colours for the team and what name for the AFL team?
Well, I think it'll be the Devils.
What would you pick it? The Devils, okay.
The Devils. My scarf My scarf, as a believer from the beginning, turned up last week.
Nice.
It'll probably be green and gold with some red. It'll be distinctive. It'll be Tasmanian as it should be. And I've got to say, I cannot wait to see a Tassie team in the AFL.
What's the Tasmanian view of the Hare-Clark system? Is it popular there, or do people want to see change there? And from a federal Liberal perspective, how important is it to hang on in Tasmania, given you haven't got any other state?
Well, look, I think it's important that we maintain a Liberal government somewhere in Australia. Jeremy's our best chance to do that, clearly, if you look just at the numbers, and let's face it, this is a numbers game. And so that'll be the focus of his campaign over the next 5 weeks.
You mentioned new faces. What about old faces? Eric Betts, would that be good for the sort of forward-thinking Tasmania? Would he be a good addition to the party there?
Well, the thing about Eric is that he's going to win a seat. He'll draw votes and he'll win a seat. And the fascinating thing about that seat that he's in Franklin, that's the seat that David O'Byrne in, who's had to leave the party to leave the Labor Party to contest the election. So that hangs over Rebecca White as Labor leader, where she didn't want him in the party. He's going to be part of the campaign. Eric's will be part of Jeremy's team. And so really Eric's bad news for the Labor Party and will draw votes to the Liberal Party because there is a strong cohort of people in that electorate that will support him.
Is Tom being ageist, maybe, with that question? I don't know.
More what I was hearing from some of his colleagues, that they might not be thrilled that he's back. Yeah. Plenty of respect for Australians of all ages. Kieran, even your age.
Even me.
When we come back, thank you, by the way, Senator. We'll just talk amongst ourselves.